Today we have an unboxing video of Roland Wright, the dice game. Hi, I'm Kevin Baker and you're watching Shangri-La, my YouTube channel for tabletop board games, birding, and other educational videos. Please like and subscribe. Okay, so Roland Wright is brought to you by Perplex. And so it is a strategy dice game about making a strategy dice game. Kind of meta there. Okay, play as a game designer named Roland Wright in this roll and write game. Color in bits of your board to score points in many ways and use actions and equipment to speed up the process to qualify for game design awards. So it says step 1, roll the dice, group them by color. Color in the matching bits from the group, erase a bit to perform an action, complete patterns to fill in your board. Okay, so let's check it out. Okay, the question is then, how do you open the box? Is it a slide out? Is it a book kind? There we go. So there's very nice presentation. So we've got one manual, rules and permission. Okay, so we'll give that a read through and figure out exactly how to play. We have some nice boards. Hallmark equipment, research and development. So these, a man and his dog, a true best friend. Okay, so a board with actions you can take. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 player boards. It is a 1 to 5 player game that it says 25 minutes, ages 13 and up, and 6 nice dry erase markers, 1 slightly squishy top hat. It says Roland Wright on it. Very nice dice. So, blue, orange, purple, and green. Could also roll yellow. And a couple decks of cards. I'll take a look at these. So we've got pink, yellow, lots of purple, and then let's see what we have in this deck. We got some green cards and some blue cards. I'll read through the rule book, figure out what the actual gameplay is like. I will let you know. Okay, so now we do have FlaMinGoCon number 32, Bigger and Better, coming up on August 15th and 16th, 2026. Get your tickets now at flamingocon.org for 27 hours of board gaming. If you're a board game designer and would like to donate a game to FlaMinGoCon to be included in our library or given away as a play to win, please reach out. Okay, let me read through the rules and then I will be back. Okay, now let's learn how to play Roland Wright, the dice game. First, it should be complimented for its excellent packaging design. The box has a magnetic seal so that closes very nicely and it opens to a very nice presentation. And we got the instructions, and everything stays in place exactly where it should stay. So that is very nice. So it's got dry erase markers. Now, dry erase markers are notorious for drying out, especially if they're used at a board game convention by hundreds of people. So I recommend getting a 60-pack of different colors of dry erase markers, which will be available for checkout at the library desk. If a marker ever runs out, just come up to the desk and we'll give you a new dry erase marker to use. Just please return it. Okay, so you got 6 different color dry erase markers. This is the, says which is the active player, and it's also a dry eraser, so you can erase marks off. Yeah. 6 dice that have their D6, and they've got each of the different colors, 1 on each side. So all the dice are the same. And then the decks hold in place in their spots. So that is excellent. So what you do, let's put that up there. Separate the decks by color. Then give them a nice shuffle. If you like card sleeves, do some card sleeves. And we'll shuffle up the pink ones. And we'll shuffle up the yellow ones. And shuffle up the green ones. Okay, that didn't go well. Okay, so what you do is first you take out this board, place that up here, and then we're going to be doing a simulation of, you can do up to 5 players, or you can do a solo game, just do 1 player. So we'll set these aside for the moment. And you put these in the center, the dice in the center, see who's going first. Say this player is going first. And then what you do is you've shuffled these. You give 3 to each player. These are the Hallmark cards. And then you put the rest on the Hallmark spot. And these are the equipment cards. You give 3 of these to each player. And put the rest up here. Then each player is going to pick out 1 blue and 1 green that they're going to keep in their hands. So these are the patterns that you're trying to achieve. And at this point, you have no idea which one is going to be easier because the dice haven't been rolled yet. But you can see at the bottom of equipment cards are actions. So you can see which action seems like the most useful. Now, this one gets to draw 3 new equipment cards and keep 1. You don't get to do that action until after you have completed the pattern and you put the card into play. Then you'll be able to choose to do that action, which would not require erasing a bit like most of the other actions require. I'll explain that in a minute, but let's keep that one. That seems good. Then the other 2 go into a discard pile for equipment cards. Then you look at the Hallmark cards and you say, well, if I'm keeping something that has either green or red, so this one's definitely no good. So I'm 2 dots away from finishing this one and 2 dots away, 2 dots towards finishing this one, 2 dots towards finishing this one. Let's go there. Keep that one, and then this one gets discarded. So each of the players would look at their cards and pick 1 of each. and throw the rest in the discard pile. And picking one of each, throwing the rest in the discard pile. And these would be kept hidden secretly in your hand so that the other players don't know what you're trying to achieve. Otherwise, they may thwart your actions. The purple cards are research and development cards. So these either have straight points, like 3 points, or they have bits on them. So if you get a purple card, you immediately, in this case, draw in a purple, orange, and a red. You don't have to draw them in, you may draw them in. This one you have your choice. You can either immediately draw in a red and a blue, if you want, or you can keep it and keep the points. So that's 1 point or some bits, 2 points or 1 bit. And I will explain the differences in the colors in a moment. But these research and development cards go there. Now, there are the yellow cards. So we are going to give each player 1 of the yellow cards, and they will also keep this secret in their hands. And so there, and there. Then the rest go back into the box. There will be 3 of the pink award cards, and then the rest of the pink cards go back into the box. So let's do some shifting here. Shift these over to here. That way we can have this here and this here. Okay, that way there's room to show off what the award cards are. You put 1 under each of the different award spaces. Then you can see on the bottom when scoring happens, and scoring only happens at the very end of the game. So you do not have to worry about keeping score during the game. You'll add it all up at the end of the game for each player. But you can see that on here, you get points on the purple research and development cards for this one. So the person that got the most points gets 6. The person that gets the second most gets 4. Anyone else gets 0. So this one is completed hallmark cards, the green cards. First place 6, second place 4. This one is completed patterns still in the box at the end. So one important thing to know is that when you complete a pattern, you're going to put the green ones aside or face down to keep to the end to be counted. But you don't have to maintain this pattern for the rest of the game. You can erase those bits and use them to complete new and different patterns, because you can see completing this one is completely unhelpful in completing that one. So you probably wouldn't have chosen them together, but it's a good example where you're going to erase these bits and color in some nice yellow bits. And when you do, this will change, but this says if you still have patterns that are complete in the box, then you have the most of those, then you get 6 points. If you have the second most, you get 4 points. You have to have at least 1 completed pattern that is still in the box in order to qualify for one of those 2. If you tie for first place, you get 5 points, and then nobody in second place gets any points. If you tie for second place, you get 2 points. So that's how you split up the awards. Now, an important thing to note, this grid is 6 by 6. If you want a longer game, you can use the other side, which has 7 by 7. So that will make the game even more interesting and longer. And so you'll play the game, and if you get to less than 3 cards in each of these piles, then you will reshuffle the discards into the pile. If there's less than 3 cards total between a deck and its discard pile, that triggers the end of the game, and then there will be one more turn. And during that turn, say if there were only 3 or 2 Hallmark cards left, then you would not be able to select a Hallmark card. If there were only 2 research and development cards, you would not be able to use an action to get a research and development card on that last turn. But let's examine what happens during a turn. So let's see. What you do is the active player, so it's this guy, will grab all the dice, roll the dice, and then group them together by color. If there are more than 3 is the maximum in any group. So if this was a green and this was a green, then it would be grouped together like that. You'd have a group of 3 green, a separate group of 1 green, and an orange and a red. So the active player selects one of the groups. And the active player is going to take those, move those aside, and because the active player knows he's got a pattern that uses a whole bunch of green, so why not take the 3 green? And this player says, I need at least a green. The other players can select from any of the groups, and players can choose the same group. So this player grabs the green and says, okay, I'm gonna draw in a green here, here, and here for no particular reason. But they're good to draw in because you'll erase bits later from your bit box in order to do actions. So this player chooses the green and says, okay, I'm gonna draw in a green right here. And, well, actually, hold on. So what you want to do, you can complete the patterns in one of 4 ways. This way, this way, this way, or this way. You cannot do the mirror image of a pattern. That doesn't count. What you can see is if he moves it this way and lines up the 2 blues, you want to leave room for the green. So actually that was a decent spot. So that was green there. And the blues can be here. Yeah, okay, so yeah, that is a good spot for the green. And then this player says, oh, I need some reds. So grabs the red and starts filling in there. Okay, and then after everybody has politely shared the dry erase markers, everybody gets to do an action if they want. So this player, you can erase a green bit. So you can erase a bit to perform one of the following actions. Or if you have completed the equipment card, it would be slid underneath, and you could do this action without having to erase a bit, but he hasn't completed that yet. So he can choose to erase this green bit that he didn't need, draw 3 of the Hallmark cards, and look at that, and they're all things that don't go together very well, so they don't really help. But this one has 2 blues. So you'd see, okay, so that one could line up interestingly well. So we'll hold on to that one right there and then discard the extra ones into that discard pile. Okay, and then does this player want to erase its 1 green bit? No. So he's going to skip the action. Excuse me. Okay. Now let's look at this guy. He's got 1 red bit, doesn't want to remove the bit. But let's explain what each of the different actions actually do. The manual is actually very clear about this. So if you have a red bit that you erase, you can then find any other bit that you have on the board and put another bit of the same color connected to it. So you had a red, so that's erased, and then you find a green bit here and put a green bit anywhere next to it. Now you have an orange bit here. If you erase an orange bit, you can take any other bit and just move it someplace else. Yellow bits are kind of like wild cards. So if you have a yellow bit, you can erase it and change its color to any other color. One important thing to note is you're not allowed to color in a bit over another one that is already colored in. You can only color in empty spaces, which is why it's important to use your actions to open up spaces in order to complete the next cards. So you can erase a green bit and then draw 3 Hallmark cards, keep 1, discard the rest. Similar with the equipment cards. You can erase a blue bit, draw 3, keep 1, discard the rest. And you can erase a purple, and if you do, you can draw 1 purple research card and then choose to either immediately color in bits or keep it for points. Okay, so those are very straightforward, which is nice. Okay, so there's a section down here at the bottom called the development chart. If you fill in all of the bits on either side, then you would shade this in and immediately draw in 1 bit of any color. And then that is done. You can't erase a bit and then shade it back in and do it again. So it's a one-time use and does not impact final game scoring directly. If you do the top row or the bottom row, you'd fill in this bit and then put in a bit of any color anywhere you want. If you do either of the diagonals, and you shade in this bit, put in a bit of any color. Now, in endgame, if you have a completely filled in bit box, you get 6 points right here. So when the last turn is called, then you want to be sure that you try to fill in all of the rest of your bits if you can, because that's points. Well, you'll decide whether that's better than trying to finish one of your either Hallmark or equipment cards. Okay, so that is the basic functionality. With these cards, the yellow ones, each person keeps this secret. So during your game, for this player, any connected red and orange is worth 1 point. So you would then figure out how many of those you have. So this player is trying to connect oranges and blues, and any of those at the end of the game would be worth 1 point. So if you don't know what color to take, because it doesn't really match any of your patterns, at least if you put a bunch of orange and blue for this player, then you will gain some end game scoring points. This player is trying to collect red and yellow and have that at the end of the game. So when you total up your points, you'll total up your points for any of the yellow awards here. All the Hallmark cards are worth 5 points. So it's 5 points per completed Hallmark card. All the equipment cards are worth 3 points. So it's 3 points for each of those. All the points you have on purple, 6 points if you completely filled in your board. And then you figure out who won each of the different awards. You can see there's a section here on the award card that does not apply to a 2 to 5 player game. This section is only used for the solo game. Okay, then you just total it up and see who wins. And there are tiebreakers, so you can check to see who wins in a tiebreaker. Let's see, the player with the most points wins. If it's tied, the winner is the player that scored the most points on inspiration cards, followed by Hallmark cards. Okay, so that is how you would break a tie. Now, we'll have a rules intermission. They put that in the middle of the book. And then we'll see how the solo game differs. So, solo game, put 2 of these aside. Erase the board so that it doesn't dry out. Make sure we erase that and erase that. Okay. So on a solo game, you do not use the 7x7, you use the 6x6. And you still give yourself one of the, you still have the pink cards out there, and you give yourself one of the yellow cards, and then you have the same way as setting up before. So you get 3 green, 3 blue, choose 1. The rest of these go away. And now at the end game, you're going to use the awards here. So points on purple cards. So if you have between 3 to 5 points, then you get 3 points. If you get 6 to 9 points, then you get 6 points. If you get more than 10 points in purple cards, then you get 10 points. So in this one, for green cards, so if you complete 3 green cards, you get 3 points. 4 green cards, 6 points. 5 or more green cards, you get 10 points. And here, so patterns still in the box at the end. So if you manage to have 3 patterns, you'd get 10 points. That's going to be reasonably lucky if you manage to do that. The other pieces that are necessary for the solo game are the player, actually it's the mat that has actions. So with this, a single player solo mode, you get 21 turns and you mark them off on the calendar. So before the first turn, you mark off the first day. And then you roll the dice, group them together like normal. So if you had more than 3 of any color, it would be 3 and 1. The first thing you do is you start filling in these. Now there are different sections on here and they do different things. So if you have purple, so excuse me, you could write in a 1 here. So that would be in here. So you could reduce this by 1 on an action. And so if you had a 1 here, you could reduce that to 0, and then you could re-roll all of the dice. Now, this one, if you have the numbers in here, you can add this number to the number of equipment cards that you draw when you draw equipment cards. This is the end of the week cleanup. And that says at the end of the week, you're going to reset this to 0. You can see there's 2 wrenches here at the end of the week. So when you start the last day of the week, you then know that at the end of the turn, this is going to get set back to 0. Similar with green cards. If you have a number in here, like say you took the 2 greens, and then you wrote in here, does not matter what color you write it in with. So I wrote in a 2. So if I was collecting, if I erased a green bit to draw green cards, I would actually draw 5 cards instead of just 3. And then I would reduce this to 1. Okay. Now, the yellow is interesting. So this says if at the end of the week, if the number in here is less than the total number of dice you have, then you lose 1 die, gone for the rest of the game. That really sucks. So be very, very careful to make sure by the end of the week, you've saved at least 7 in there, so that you don't have to worry. So that is bad. All right. So then you do reset it back to 0 at the end of the week. So you do have to, actually you only need 6. So if 6 is not less than 6, so you wouldn't have to remove a die. But then you do reset it to 0, and then the next week you need to collect another 6 in there. Now red, you can, if you have numbers in here, like if you use that red instead, you could then, on an action, choose to change the 1 die to maybe an orange. Then bring that back down to 0. Now, for oranges, it's important to collect oranges. So if you put a 3 in here, then this says that at the end of the week, you're going to roll all the dice 3 times. Say I only had 3 in there. So you roll once, save the orange. You roll twice, excellent. And you roll 3 times, excellent. Okay, so you subtract that 1 from 3, and this becomes a 2. So that is good. So if I had rolled, say, 3, and it had gone all the way down to 0, I would have to be neat about this. Draw a nice even 0. It's still very messy. And you would then have to say, okay, I completed one of these cards. I would have to discard it from the game, or discard it to its discard pile, and then I wouldn't get those points at the end of the game. If you don't have anything completed, you've got to discard a card that you have not completed. So it's good to run up the score on oranges so that that does not get down to 0. So the first thing you do is you assign dice to, so after you've rolled, then you assign dice to here, and then the player can choose from the remaining groups, either purple or orange, and then fill those in. And so neither of those are very helpful, but I put in a purple anyway, here and here. And then you would take an action. So you look on here, oh, I will erase a purple bit and draw a research and development card. Hey, it's 3 points towards the end game. And also that helps on here, so that gets me closer. So one of the goals is to get as many purples as possible so that you can then do well on those points. And then that is the example of a solo turn. So at the end, you would total everything up like normal. The points that are on this board go here, and then the points from this board go onto here. You total those up, and then your solo game points are here. And then you look in the manual to see that if you got between 49 or less points, you're considered a novice. 50 to 74 points is an amateur. Professional is 75 to 99. 100 or more points, you are world famous. So I tried this on one attempt at a solo game and I got 45 points. So as a learning game, having it only be novice is to be expected and nothing to be ashamed of, which is why I will announce it to the world. Okay, and that is the example of a multiplayer and a solo player Roland Wright the dice game, which I recommend. It has an interesting level of complexity without being impenetrable as far as rules. The rules are very simple, but how you rearrange your dots and how you build your dots and which ones you erase, which ones you color in, that is a level, there's a level of strategy in there that is quite satisfying. So I recommend it. Okay, but definitely get yourself some more dry erase markers because they will run out. Okay, hope to see you all in person at the next FlaMinGoCon. Be well. And the next FlaMinGoCon, of course, is, as a reminder, is August 15th and 16th, 2026. That's FlaMinGoCon number 32, bigger and better at the Embassy Suites Hotel in West Palm Beach, Florida, for 27 hours of board gaming. Okay, now, be well.